friends. Welcome back to another episode of The Mind of Reese. I'm so happy to be back doing podcast episodes weekly for you guys. It has been a crazy month. Last month, I went to Mexico, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, to go hang out with my man. And we have like a quarterly getaway together just to kind of like relax, snooze, fall more in love with each other, just, get a chance to read the books that we really want to read and, just kind of chillax for a little bit. But then right after I flew from Puerto Vallarta to Denver, Colorado to go to one of my masterminds, for Shoshana Raven, who is one of my mentors, and she's an incredible woman. She's built an incredible business, and I'm just obsessed, and I love surrounding myself around women and people who just don't only just, tolerate your bigness, your delusion, your excitement, your visions. They celebrate it and to the highest capacity. And this is something that I'm absolutely obsessed with, The more and more I'm starting to notice even the little signs that are coming around everywhere. It's like we're really here to uplift each other. To really truly create a movement is to actually do it for the people. It's like I'm doing it to move myself, but also doing it to move others. That is the whole point of building an iconic brand. And what I love just about being in these rooms with these wonderful women is that we're all celebrating each other. And then you also notice a lot of things that do come up, being a somatic facilitator, being someone that teaches body-based branding, booking and scaling. It's like, I kind of look at it from the whole perspective of wow, I even noticed even things that are coming up within me that were wow, I have some sisterhood wounds. I could tell that I started to begin to almost shrink. I could feel myself wanting to find myself getting small. And it's really interesting because depending on the room that I'm in, especially with powerhouses, with women that are just killing the game, but not only just financially, but just energetically, and you can just feel their frequency. And then there's some frequency that feels really leaky, and you're like, is this leaky because I'm leaky, or is it leaky because I feel like something's being performed? And anytime I feel like I am noticing someone else performing, I know it's me. Because if I notice someone, this is how I can kind of really differentiate where my triggers start, where my wounds start and where someone else's wounds begin, where it's where I start to notice, I'm okay, if this person, if I'm getting upset by it, if I know that I'm I don't like it, I'm judging it, then that's where I'm that's mine for sure. But when I see it and when I naturally can be in it and I just have a lot of love and compassion because I get it, and I've been there before where we're in a room filled with people that make us feel a little nervous and make us feel a little I feel a little small in this room, and you feel do I even belong in this room? And sometimes the way that some people react to that is by being really loud and being really big and, making things bigger than maybe it is. And then, or there's the people that are keep themselves really small and just really tiny and put themselves in a corner and don't want to talk to anybody. And so there's these different aspects and responses that we have to these things. And it's funny because, when you are someone that truly cares about I'm trying to be the best in the world of being me. That's the whole point. Your goal in life is to be the best in the world at being you. It's not trying to be the best coach or the best artist or the best visionary or the best baker, tattoo artist, painter. It's not about that. It's about being the best in the world at being you. When you look at life from that lens and you see that as that's my highest priority, self-mastery, self-actualization, you will always live a curious, creative life. And you will always inevitably win. Because you're not here trying to outdo someone. The only thing you're trying to outdo is the current version of yourself and meeting the future version of yourself. Today I had a class for going to the quantum. It is my somatic certification to becoming a somatic facilitator and a quantum coach. And it's been on my heart. I've been so excited to teach this really in-depth, certification course. and class, because, it goes really deep into somatics, nervous system work, creating your own methodologies, and really just building building a body of work that really helps not only you find you in your most authentic self-expressed self, but also on how you energetically lead. And to really truly build a movement, I was telling this to my members in going to the quantum, that you can give two people. It's like everybody, you've seen this. I know you've seen this. I feel you. You've been in my world for a while, I'm sure, sometimes. And if you're new to this world, hi, hello, I love you, and I'm so excited that you're here. But when you think about holding two, like you give two people the same strategy, right? You give someone the same strategy, the same blueprint, the same pathway to $1 million, to the best content in the world, to the best artistry in the world, whatever it is. But the two of them get totally two different results. Now, the reason that is because of the frequency and the energy. And when we learn this from like body-based understanding of somatics, how to understand your own patterns, thoughts, wounds, behaviors, habits, like these kinds of things, we understand that we can see this here. And we're like, okay, I see these things. Now I can change it. So in this class and course, I teach like on neuroplasticity. And neuroplasticity is essentially being able to understanding that you can change your thoughts, habits, and behaviors. And I was attributing it to, I was telling them in this way, okay, like think of your mind as a forest. Your mind is a forest, and there are these well-worn paths, going in each direction. And what neuroplasticity is essentially like basically taking a machete and being like, I'm going to make new pathways. I'm going to make new pathways in order for me to think differently, to behave differently, and to do things differently, and to create different habits, right? And so when we think about having the strategy and why one person sees success, external success, and another person doesn't see the success that they desire to see, is because of the frequency that we're in. And so as I'm teaching, I'm teaching a lot about like how to hold space, how to become a facilitator, but also it's really about like how I am like how I facilitate myself, how I lead myself. Building a movement is about how you lead yourself and becoming the example and becoming the permission slip for others to watch you lead and to follow you. And so what's really interesting about this is that when I'm in this mode of just like, okay, what is a movement really? What is a movement really? Like I talk about movements all the time. I'm talking about your brand. Your brand is a movement. You are the movement. Like I'm constantly talking about this, like your content, it moves people. Like how are we creating momentum? Like how do we create that? And it's because you go first. It's because you're like, I am so obsessed with becoming the best in the world at being me. I lead myself in a way that is constantly leaning into my edges and challenging myself in a way that absolutely pushes me to my next level, right? And then by doing that, that becomes embodiment, right? And that embodiment, you in your embodiment, you become the example, you become the frequency, and then becoming the frequency, you get liberated. You create freedom in your life. Why? Because it's like, you can be in a room with all these beautiful women and all these crazy powerhouses and still hold down the fucking fort. You can still be like, I am here. I got me, and even when there's the comparison, you're like, well, I financially am not there yet, or I'm not there yet because I don't know my story, or I don't even have a business, it's just like so interesting. And it's like all the stories that we tell ourselves. And the moment that we just get the somatic awareness and we understand the somatic, like we take the time to create rituals and practices that get us aware of our own patterns so that we can self-actualize, start to really be curious about who we are, what it is we're doing. We basically make our priority like, I want to be the best I can be about being myself. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to be the best in the world at being me. Then all of a sudden, you start creating embodiment because you're creating neuroplasticity, new neural pathways in your brain to see and be aware of those habits, thoughts, patterns, change those, create new neural pathways becoming this other version, more embodied version, more empowered version of yourself, not changing, not fixing, just expanding. Now, all of a sudden, you created liberation within your life and your business. And those go hand in hand, right? Like, I know that there's a lot of examples of people out there that are not liberated inwardly, but, have all the financial success and they're assholes and they're whatever, like there's a lot of examples of everything. But I always think about, whenever I ask the question, whenever I get into like one-on-ones with people in my inner circle, or when people do some private work with me, I always ask, I'm like, well, what's the goal? And how do you want to feel on the way to that goal? You know what I mean? Because there's a difference. There's like, yeah, what's the goal? There's a million ways to that goal. You want to make $1 million? Sure, you could do it through digital products. You could do it through one-on-one work. You could do it through opening up a shop. You could do it through, you could do it through brick and mortars. You could do it by selling these things or that thing. Like there's a million ways to get to $1 million. So we find out which direction you want to go. And then most importantly, what's the vibe? How can we reverse engineer the vibe? How can I reverse engineer how I want to feel on my way getting there? For me, it's like peace. Peace is the new rich. Worthiness is the new wealth. Like, I'm like, I've got everything. Like, yeah, I haven't hit that 7-figure mark in the annual, like in a year yet. And that's inevitable. That will happen. But like I've got everything. Like it's not a need. I don't need to hit that. Like I'm living the life that I've always wanted to live, and I live it the way I want to live it. And that's always been my way. Like when I was making $30, an hour to making $325 an hour, when I was, making 5K months, when I was making 20K months, when I was making 20K months to now I'm making 50K months. Like, it's like the thing is that my internal world has always been, I want to be able to say yes to everything. I don't care how I've got to do it. Whether I'm sitting on the back of the plane, whether I'm sitting on the front of the plane. Like, it's like I will sit next to the bathrooms, do 12-hour, layovers, sleep in the airports so that I didn't have to pay for hotels to get to where I wanted to go. And then I would go to, or I do it now the way where I'm like, well, my values have changed. And I also have been given myself the ability for my values to change because of the way that I've changed in my life, to where now I'm like, actually, my time is more important. I'd rather not, and I'd rather feel comfortable and have a really great experience and all aspects to it. So but it's never been different. For me, it's always been like, how do I want to feel? And I didn't even know that I was doing it, at the beginning of my career, or even just in the beginning of my life. It's like, how do I want to feel on the way to getting to this spot? How do I want to feel? Sometimes I felt, sometimes it made me feel certain ways that didn't make me feel good. So I stopped doing it those ways. Other ways, it's like, now it's like, for me, it's like peace. I want to feel peace and I want to feel worthy. And that's it. And that's all on me. And if that's me, then that's easy, because then I only have to rely on me to get there. And what's so great about that is that, like, now that I have it's like having a business. I've been an entrepreneur for like 16 years now. Tattoo artist for 14, coach for 5. It's like I'm just like a creative healer. I'm a visionary artist. I am multi-dimensional, multi-creative, ADHD, autistic. I got a little touch of the Tiz kid. Like, I'm like, I'm over here doing all of the things, putting all my passions. When people were like, focus on one thing, I didn't. When people were like, only sell this thing, I didn't. When someone said, you have to keep to XYZ this, and I'm like, I didn't. I just like constantly rebelled. That's why I call it rebel entrepreneurs. This is who I help. I'm like, I guide rebel entrepreneurs. That's who we are, because we're just rebellious against the status quo. Like, I'm rebelling against the way that, like, I see other people doing it, and I want to do it my own way. And that's why I tend to align with people that are doing it their own way. And so, of course, I go to this mastermind, and it's all these people doing all these different things. And I'm like looking at them, and I'm like, ooh, what is it that, like, where can I learn? Where can I get it? Where are my triggers? What am I learning about myself? You know what I mean? Like, because you'll notice all the things. And I lean in. I lean so fucking in. Like, I'm like, every time I feel something, tension is just an invitation. Tension is just invitation to allow yourself to lean into your triggers, to lean into your wounds so that you can expand them, shine the light on them, and then, like, heal them. Like, this is the whole point. It's like, yeah, the more I'm in relationship to others, the more I put myself out of my comfort zone, the more that I choose the pathway that is the unknown, the more I get really good at doing that, because I do it over and over and over and over and over and over again, the more I'm going to expand faster into the version of myself that I desire to be. I mean, you think about all the top CEOs, athletes, all these types of different people that are out there, creating, like Michael Jordan says, he's like, I've missed more shots than most people take in their lifetime. Like, that's crazy. And that's something I desire to always live by. Can I say that I live by that now? No, I'm to be perfectly honest with myself, I'm like, dang, I'm not trying to fail every day. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I made this example where it's like, let's say you're a jujitsu fighter and every time they tell you to pair up with someone, you're like, okay, let me go against, you're always the thing that you're trying to do as your current version of you is that like, you're like always trying to go against someone that's either weaker than you or someone that's at the same level as you, right? But what if you were the kind of person that decided that like, I was like, no, I would rather not win at the current version of me. I would rather lose as the future version of me so that I can get to that future version of me faster. And I'm going to go after the 200-pound double black belt guy over there, and have him throw me around every single day. And for me to get wrecked, fucking wrecked every time, I go in there and I get a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. And then, hey, maybe 2 months from now, I'm going to be able to put him on his ass instead of winning every single time and never actually, reaching my potential. Again, it goes with like, I always like to attribute it the gym at the weights. Every time I go to the gym, this morning I was at the gym and I was doing squats and I haven't done a leg day in a really long time. And I'm doing these squats and I'm like, man, I haven't done leg day in a long day. Like, I don't want to overdo it. So I was like, not overdo it, but I could feel my power in my body. And I was like, you can go heavier. You can go heavier. You could do one more. You could do one more. And every time I do one more, you're almost like, you could do another one. Like it's this voice in my head that I have cultivated through neuroplasticity because I have trained myself to essentially like have these new neural pathways of the way that I think. People ask me all the time, like, how do you think that way? How do you do the things that you do? I'm not some special kid. It's more like I just understand how I work. I understand how the brain works. I understand how my body works. I understand what tools that I need in order for me to essentially shift those beliefs, patterns, habits, thoughts, actions. And then it's like I'm able to cultivate awareness, create new neural pathways, create a new pathway, and then now be embodied in this new thing and then go. So it's not that I don't have the thoughts of like, I don't want to, or I can't, or maybe tomorrow, I don't, it's just that I have the awareness to see it first before I react to the first thought. That's the only difference, is that I don't react to the first thought that I have. I actually respond to what's happening. And then I'm able to essentially, take action from that space. So, this last month has been like, just like a big month of like a huge learning for me. After I had gone back from Denver, it was really amazing and I felt really good. And I love being around Shosh, and she's such a powerhouse and she's so incredible. And I also just like, I noticed like a lot of things within myself on like what happens during those times. I can feel myself being like, wow, this person's getting really big. Like I can feel myself being like wobbly in their bigness. And I'm like, wow, it's so interesting. And I'm so like, I live life with such curiosity that I never make anything I'm feeling wrong. It's always like, how can I truly just see this for what it is and allow my human to human, and then also just be so in celebration to all the people that are like in my orbit. And the fact that they are in my orbit just means that like they are just paving the pathway for the rest of us to like go and do something fucking crazy in our own unique way. And I love that. And I'm like, wow, why would I ever not want to be around that? Well, the only reason why I know that I wouldn't want to be around that is because somewhere in my energy and my wounding that I'm like, oh my gosh, like there's a little girl in me that really desperately needs attention right now because she's feeling unloved and she's feeling less than and she's feeling not good enough. Okay. And so I'm like, and it's so juicy and yummy to be in spaces like this because all of a sudden now I'm like, I'm I'm like, here, I'm with it. I'm like, yes, this is amazing. I get to learn more about myself. And then I don't make it mean anything, nor do I allow it to stop me. So it's like this quick. It's this quick in moving through things. And I find that so like, this is me becoming, like, this is being the best of the world at being me. And you know what happens? My business just accidentally 10x's. Like, all last month in April, I was kind of like in a weird energy. And all this year, honestly, I've got to be really honest with you guys. Like, let me just be fucking transparent. All this year has been like this pushy, chasey, weird feeling energy where I'm just like, what is going on? Like, what is going on? Like, I'm never quitting this business. It's never not working. What's happening? And if for some reason, none of my reframes were like helping, I was like, okay, what am I missing? What am I not leaning into? And you know what happens? Anytime I do that and I stop leaning into mentorship and I start leaning out and I start like being like, okay, what am I like, when I lean out of mentorship, when I'm not plugged in all the time and I start to kind of like go down on myself and then I can start to notice that like I start to fall back on some of my like my little my habits, like my coping mechanisms. Like I'll smoke a little bit more weed, have a little more drink here and there, and I'm like, oh, like look what's happening. And I start to get down on myself and I start to feel this roller coaster, and I was just like, oh, I see. And then it's okay. It's like, you know what? So when April hit, I was like, I'm done. I'm done with the pushy. I'm gonna like pull back. I'm gonna just be like really intentional with every single move that I make and set everything and forget it and surrender and know God's got my back. Right? Know that God's got my back. Easiest 40K month ever. I was just like, wow, I accidentally made 40K a month. This week was a $17,000 week with no tattoos. I was like, holy crap. And then also like I got to tattoo someone. I call it the $10,000 tattoo because of the fact that like we raised $10,000 for this, for Hope versus Cancer, a nonprofit that, essentially is like, hoping to find a cure for cancer for kids, and I love them so much. They're so amazing. They always hit me up whenever they need things. And I love that because I'm like, damn, I've built a brand that's famous, that they're like, people want to be in my orbit. People just know that like when they give it to me, that I'm going to work that shit hard. I'm going to make it worth their while. Like I make everything very extravagant. That's like my new motto these days. It's like, everything is fucking incredible. It's extraordinary. It's worth my time, my effort. Like it's like full fucking send. Everything's amazing. Let's fucking go. Like that's the energy of it. And that's how I feel. I'm like, okay, if I make everything fucking extraordinary in my life, if I've just decided that's how it's going to be, then that's how it's going to be. And so what did I do? I was like, all in April, I was like, I'm plugging back in. Every day it's a non-negotiable. Just like my meditations, just like the gym time, just like walking the dog. It's like, I got to be an hour a day plugged into something. I'm going to learn something new every day for an hour a day. Have to. Whether it's like a coaching session from my mentor, if I'm watching a course, am I listening to a podcast, like, or if I'm, like, and I like to really stay plugged in to only a couple of things. Like, I don't like to go around. Like Andy, my man, he likes to listen to all different types of people and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, no, I'm like a focused person. I'm like, I want to be in one person's energy at all times. And I'm like, that's like, I just want to like be inside them. And so that's kind of like how I am. So like, of course, like my mentor this year is Bridget, and Bridget James Lang, who is an incredible mentor, very much more on the masculine side, a little bit more on like the luxury side, which I love. And then she's like more my vulnerable babe. Like she's the one that's like shame into power, turning your stories into like products and stuff like this. And that's what I love about her. So like I feel like I've really gotten, like, I love the two doors. Like I love these two humans. They're opposite in a lot of ways, but also the same in a lot of ways. But I love them fucking both so much, and I just want to be plugged into both of their energies. So that's who I'm plugged in. I'm just plugged in. And And then I also like get plugged into myself. Like I'm like, let me listen to like old stuff that I've done before and just let me be really proud of who I am. Let me just be really proud of how far I've come. So I've been just like marinating in my own juices. And then it's like that's what you do need to do though. Like it's like celebrate the action versus the result. Like I'm going to celebrate every day that I posted because it felt like art versus posting because I felt like I had to. Like I'm going to celebrate every day for focusing on the result for the people that are in than trying to focus on more people coming in. Most people are so fucking stuck on like how many people are coming into their books, how many people are signing up for the programs, how many people are signing up for things when they're not even celebrating the people that have just already made the move. Right? Like I have a client. She's a fucking amazing. She's a coach, and she's like, she sold one of her programs. Only one person bought. And you know what? And nobody showed up to the actual call. And this is like, she's starting up her business. She's barely starting this thing. So she's really getting to know herself. And like, I'm really proud of her because what did she do? Instead of not showing up to the call, she showed up to the call. She taught the call with nobody in the fucking room and pretended there were 1,000. And then she got off that call, sent me a message, and fucking celebrated. And I'm like, you are a millionaire. The third dimension just hasn't caught up yet. Because you cannot tell me that you would, you cannot tell me how many people would not do that. Like, 99% of people wouldn't do that fucking shit. They would just been like, oh, this is a bust. It's a fail. I'm going to cry about it. And valid. It's valid. You could. Like, I would be bummed. You know what I mean? But the fact is that she showed up, like there were 1,000 people there and she still did the class. Like, what? I was so fucking proud of her. And I told her, I was like, this is going to be the story that you tell your people when you're standing in front of those thousands of people one day. And that'll be a very soon one day. You know what? And then, she's out here selling again. She had 5 people sign up for her thing. So it's like, it's like understanding that your energy compounds, understanding that like constantly plugging in, celebrating your wins, seeing yourself, being highly self-aware, deciding that the only thing that you care about is becoming the best in the world at being you is going to be your bread and butter. And then all of the other steps in between. So I really feel like, even though this is more of just like, for me, this podcast episode is less about like a certain pathway that we're getting to and a certain result we're getting to. And it's just more about how, we can walk ourselves through certain things. And for me specifically, it's like, well, this is what I've learned about myself in the last like year, and where I know like I can really see my patterns. I can really see like what's happening in my pattern. And I always think of healing as like a spiral. So like I'm have the same patterns because I know that my soul is here to heal a certain thing. It's to heal, like it's to go through a certain experience and to continue to go through that until I learn from it, right? And so, and I believe that for all of us. And so, I was looking at journals from like 2 years ago, and I'm still seeing the same fucking pattern of like not good enough. Like not good enough, and like what the only difference is that like I'm like, wow, I see this, and for some reason I this particular like the last quarter, I felt like I couldn't celebrate it. I can't. It's like I almost don't want to celebrate that I feel lost, and I'm like, what? You gotta celebrate that you feel lost, because like the fun part is that like we're always going to be confused and lost and feel like we're not good enough and all these things. And I'm just like, and that gets to be beautiful. Like this is where I celebrate. I'm like, wow, this actually gets to be really beautiful and fun and curious. And yes, it sucks sometimes, but at the end of the day, the fact that I'm willing to lean into how far that may suck is my ability to see how great things are as well. So like it's all on a spectrum. If I'm unwilling to feel how bad things could be because I'm trying to avoid it by working or doing more or being confused or staying overwhelmed or being my perfectionism or whatever, then there's absolutely no way that I'm ever going to feel the highest of high upsides to it. So why are we trying to bypass any of the things that we're meant to be feeling and look and the only difference, and what I love about me now, the me 2 years ago and the me that's going to be in 10 years from now is is the fact that I'm going to enjoy the entire process. Is like, right now I'm like celebrating the fact that I'm like, gosh, because this doesn't get to last forever. I literally can change my state of being with a breath. I could just change it right now. And this is the power of that. And so, it's funny because like I get back from Denver and we go to Vegas to go celebrate. Like Andy coaches a guy named Aaron Rye, who's like one of the best in the world in golfing. And he's been working since he was like 11 years old to become the best in the world. And what I love about Aaron so much is that he doesn't care about being the best in the world. Like, of course he does, but that's not necessarily the goal. The goal is to be better than he was yesterday. And I'm like, and of course, you're talking about, he's 30 years old now. So we're talking over 15 years of his lifespan that he's been golfing since he was like a 1-digit number. No, it's like 20 years that he's been golfing forever. And now, like, he's the kind of guy that plays in a weekend and makes $1 million in a weekend. And you're just like, oh my God, he's making millions of dollars golfing. Like, he did it. Like, he's fucking doing it. It's crazy. And he never focused on the money. It was always just like, how much better can I be than I was yesterday? And if we could all focus, we could take a little bit of that page out of that book and just be like, this is all I care about is this next step, and celebrating every action that I take toward that. Then you're going to be fucking good, bro. You're going to be it's inevitable. Your success is fucking inevitable, bro. Like, it's like bananas inevitable. And so one thing I would love to leave you with is that a conversation I had poolside, in Puerto Vallarta at this really schwanky ass hotel, which I absolutely loved. We were on the rooftop. It's poolside. It's fucking beautiful. And I was reading How to Become Your Future Self. Now, it's one of my favorite books. Ben Hardy is like the bee's knees. He's the tits. I fucking love that man. And he's like, it was basically talking about like asking yourself the question, like, in 20 years, like 20 years if 20 years from now the 20 years from now you could look back today and relive today, how would they do it? And I remember thinking to myself, when he asked me this question, I was like, man, I wouldn't look at myself. I wouldn't belittle my body in the mirror, for sure. Like in a bathing suit. I wouldn't question if my man thinks I'm hot or whatever. You know what I mean? That's a big thing for me. I'm always like, oh gosh, do I look good in the bathing suit? Because I'm it's been a thing for me since I was a little girl, like, my body. And I was like, God, she would never. 57-year-old Reese would never, not even close. That bitch would never. She would be like, girl, can you please stop worrying about it? You're fucking beautiful. Like, you're fucking beautiful. She wouldn't worry about whether this launch did well, because at the end of the day, it's going to be one of a million launches I do, and it's not even going to matter. In the grand scheme of things, it's all going to compound. 20 years, 57-year-old Reese, she's fucking she's millionaire. She's building generational wealth. You know what she is proud of? She's proud of the Reese of today, of 37, that decided to spend invest $150,000 into real estate. That really scared the fuck out of her, because she was like, holy fuck, I'm about to spend $150,000 in real estate and $75,000 on mentorship. She's really proud. 57-year-old Reese is like so fucking proud of the Reese today that did that, because she's like, you were thinking of me. She like, my 57-year-old Reese to me is like, you were thinking of me. She's telling me today. She's like, you were thinking of me in that moment, and you decided that you were not going to care about what it cost, because you knew that you were your best ROI. You knew that you were the best return on investment. You knew that you were going to get a result no matter fucking what. That's something that, like, 37-year-old Reese is thanking 35-year-old Reese for thinking that. 37-year-old Reese is thanking 33-year-old Reese, because 33-year-old Reese was like, decided to get into mentorship and really go banana crazy with that, and then decided to hire really mentors that she could not have fucking afford. So me, Reese, today is thanking 33-year-old Reese for doing the thing. And normalizing spending money on mentorship when most people are like, why the fuck would you spend 75 to 100 grand a year in mentorship? that, you know, that you don't get, there's no, there's no guarantee on a result. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm the guarantee. But the only reason why I think that is because of my motherfucking mentors. It's because they've taught me. So it's like all of these, and they normalize that for me. So my 33, you know, I'm thanking 33-year-old Reese for being smart enough to get her ass in the fucking room, into mentorship, into masterminds, into spaces where someone's always keeping me up. So that when this year happened, all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit, I'm feeling down. I'm feeling behind. I'm feeling not good enough. I'm feeling like everybody's triggering me. I feel like I'm really comparing myself to everybody in this room. I'm really second guessing all of my things. And I'm like, oh wait, what are you not doing, Reese, that you're so normally doing? You normally leaning into mentorship whenever this is happening. You're asking the questions. You're telling people what's going on in your life. You have somatic therapists. You have this, that, and whatever, and you're not leaning in. Oh, maybe it's time to lean in. Oh, thank you, 33-year-old Reese, for fucking putting my ass in these positions so that I can actually catch myself before it happens, before I start digging myself a grave and start trying to burn the whole fucking thing down. Like, that's, you know, it's like, so what would the 20-year from now you be like? What would you not be worrying about today? And what would she be like, please do that today for us tomorrow? So I'm going to leave you guys with that. I love you guys so fucking much. I'll see you guys in the next fucking episode.